What if I told you that using one single word, asking yourself one single word, could change the directory of your life? Now, this one word that I want to chat with you guys about today is the word why. It's crazy to me that I have recently been seeing other people use this method to get to a place of clarity in their lives around their money, their business, their health, their wealth, their relationships, everything. And I know for my own self, going on this spiritual life journey, there have been countless times where I have come up against the word why, and it has immediately shifted the direction that I decided to take, and actually with better results and outcomes, because I'm going into this next decision or action that I'm about to take with a lot more clarity and intention. So with just one word, I'm going to show you how it's done, the process, why we should be asking ourselves why we should be reflecting, and we're going to dive right into it. The reason why it's so important to reflect, and I'm making this video heading into 2025, right? Into the new year. And obviously, this is such a timely circumstance to be making a video such as this, because everyone is in the mood for setting goals, that whole new year, new me, and really taking their goals and the desires that they want for themselves and for their lives seriously in the next few weeks to come. And most of us, sadly, when it comes to our lives, we're living on autopilot, right? We sort of just allow life to just make decisions for us. A lot of the times, for most people, we feel like things are outside of our control. And although there are a lot of things outside of us that we can't control, we also trick ourselves into thinking that the internal ways in which we can respond to things are also outside of our control, which is completely inaccurate, right? Although we can't control what happens to us, we do have the power to control what we do next. But because of this autopilot and feeling like we're not in control, we make decisions out of poor habits, emotions, or just outside influences that aren't really for our short-term and long-term benefit. And we rarely ever stop to ask ourselves, why? Why am I choosing to not mindfully spend my money and find myself in situations where I am digging myself into deeper holes of debt? Why am I noticing that no matter how intentional I try to be or think I'm trying to be about certain business decisions, I end up failing most of the time? Why is it that I jump into relationships thinking that this is the person for me and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and it never seems to work out? Most people don't take the time to sit and ask themselves, why are these things happening? It's much easier for us to blame the situation and blame the outcome or complain about the outcome instead of trying to understand the pain or the root of the pain that creates that outcome. So the solution for us today is, when we are going to set a goal, when there is something that we realize that we deeply are starting to desire, that seed is being planted for the relationship or the $1 million bank account or the thriving business, we have to start with the why. And so here are a few examples that I'm going to run through today. Obviously, I'm a holistic wealth coach. I'm here to empower women around building wealth and creating a meaningful life, really creating a life that you love through this holistic means of better managing and aligning with abundance and money. So let's start with money as an example. Every day, we're faced with countless decisions on what to buy. And I'm going to use my own personal experience with, and I talk about this in another video actually that you can check out on insecurities, and how spending on your insecurities are keeping you broke. And the most interesting thing about that video is that a lot of us don't realize that we are spending our money out of trying to fill the void of an insecurity. Let's say you're someone who's spending a lot of money on getting your eyelashes done every month. Now, this isn't to shame. I'm not saying that, you know, as a woman, you can't amplify your beauty in more than the infinite amount of ways that are out there today, right? Especially if you have money, you have a lot more options available to you. Plastic surgery. Actually, let's do plastic surgery, right? That's a big one. BBLs. We're gonna talk about BBLs. I don't really have an issue in that department because I got a little bit of a, you know, I got a donk. I've been blessed with it. I don't really gotta spend extra money on having a bigger booty. But in our society, there is great influence on a woman to have a certain shape, right? And there's a certain shape that is in style right now. And that is the interesting thing because styles shift and change. So what is beautiful now might not be beautiful in the future. And a lot of women are changing their bodies or their appearances to look like what looks good now, but might not look good in the future, and changing things about themselves permanently, right? So let's do a BBL, for example, which is a Brazilian butt lift. And you're about to make a purchasing decision to get a BBL. And I want you to ask yourself, if you had a piece of paper, you would write down, get a BBL. 2025, my goal is to get a BBL. And you want to ask yourself, why are you getting a BBL? So to me, I'm gonna place myself in the shoes or in the booty of someone who wants a BBL. Like I said, I don't personally need a BBL, but I'm gonna put myself in the headspace of someone who probably wants a BBL. Why do I want a BBL? Because I feel like that is what is attractive. I see that on other women and I think it's really sexy, as well as it seems like that is what people like, that is what men like. Okay, cool. Why do you feel that way? And I feel that way because I've seen in my own personal relationships how men treat me, and I don't get as much attention that other girls do that do have bigger bottoms or are thicker or curvier. And I notice that I get less attention and attraction towards me because I might not have a certain body type. Why? I don't have that certain body type because that's just how I was born, and that's just how society is right now. That is just what men are into. Why? Because men are physical beings and they are first going to look at the body to determine if this is a woman that they want to pursue. And I want to be pursued. Why? I want to be pursued because I want to feel validated. I want to be admired. I want to feel loved. Why? I've never really felt loved my entire life. You see where I'm going, right? It can get really deep. It can go on. You can continue to ask why and why and why, but you can tell at the why that I ended off. Now we're getting into maybe starting to talk about certain traumas, childhood experiences that is framing or getting you to understand the container as to which that person is coming from, why they might be choosing to make this decision on a much deeper level. They want to feel loved, they want to feel validated from the opposite sex. And so they feel like in order to do that, they need to look a certain way. Now, that is up to you to determine whether that is a healthy way to go about something. Personally, for me, I'm someone that, yeah, there might be things about myself that I don't completely like, but nothing that I don't feel like I permanently would want to change. But I know that if I'm going to change it, it's less of a reason because I don't like it, and it's more of a reason because I think someone else wouldn't like it. So my tatas, they're not the perkiest. And I grew up with a mother who would sort of, I don't want to call her out, but, you know, sometimes she would kind of shame me and she would make comparisons and say, oh, like, you know, like your breasts like aren't as perky as like mine used to be when I was young, and like, you know, they're kind of sagging a bit. And so I've always had this insecurity around my breast and having sagging breast and feeling like I should have this perky chest. And it's impacted me in multiple ways. Even in the act of intimacy, I sometimes am uncomfortable being on top, taking positions where I am on top, because I feel a little insecure about my breast and what the other person is seeing. And if my mom doesn't think that it's attractive, then like this guy obviously doesn't think that it's attractive. And so you tell yourself these stories that aren't necessarily true. And I could, because of those experiences, tell myself that I should get a boob job or a breast lift or whatever it may be. But I want to challenge myself to love myself as I am. And I want to be with someone who's not loving me because of how I look on the outside. I want to be with someone who's loving me because of who I am on the inside, and my soul, my spirit, and my body is constantly going to change. Do I want to continue spending money on things that are constantly going to change that I have no control of? No. I rather put my money into things that are going to grow my wealth. So that $6,000 I'm spending on getting a boob job, or 10,000, whatever it costs nowadays, I could put that into some stocks. I can put that into like my savings for a down payment on a home. To me, beauty is not that high on the priority list for me in terms of what I value. For me to go to those extents to pay for something out of an insecurity. But you might not see it like that, right? For you, it might be a life or death situation. It might be like you are in sex work and that is something that you need in order to make more money. You need to amplify certain aspects about your body, your face, so that you can make more money, right? In an industry where you are selling your body and you're selling yourself to men, that would make sense, right? But in terms of just an everyday girl just trying to find love and dating and relationships, would I go to the extent of that? No. Anyways, that's a whole another video that I probably wouldn't even make, because that's not within the realm of what I teach and coach here on this channel. But I just want you to kind of get to understand like how why can be so powerful, right? Like, realizing like, wow, like I am making this decision because of maybe not from a healthy place. This actually is from a place of insecurity or fear or doubt. It could be a lot of things. Comparison anxiety, societal status. So I want you to be very clear on the process of asking why and what that looks like and how you can get to a more specific answer. Now, you can do this for very small things. It can be a small purchase at a store. You can be like, why? Why do I really need this, right? And you might, at the end of asking yourself why, realize, actually, I don't really need this, right? And it can save you. The reason why I use this tactic, especially when it comes to building wealth and with my clients, because it teaches you to be more intentional. It teaches you not to be impulsive and to rush into things and to really attach your why to your values. This is why this exercise works so well, is because you are starting to learn more about yourself and to prioritize your values and what's important to you. And if your why doesn't match that, you begin to have this internal realization and awareness that I actually don't need to continue engaging in this particular habit or transaction or belief even. And that is where growth occurs. I believe that the path towards ultimate fulfillment and happiness becomes much easier because you are no longer making decisions out of fear or out of, autopilot, out of your subconscious that is not aware, or because of outside influences. It is coming from a desire deep within, a deep-seated desire that is rooted in confidence. It is rooted in clarity. It is rooted in intention. It is rooted in your values. It is rooted in the soul and the essence of who you are and why you are here and who you came to be. That is what makes this exercise so powerful. When I have a decision that I'm not sure I want to make, and it's not one of those decisions that you kind of gloss over. It's something that takes months because maybe it's a big decision like going back to school. I sit with myself and I do this why exercise, and after doing the exercise, things become much clearer to me. Okay, am I doing this because I want to feel inspired? I want to stretch myself. I want to challenge myself. And I see myself being a better individual at the end because of it? Or am I doing this because I just think this is what you're supposed to do? This is what my parents would want for me. This is what society tells me I should follow. And I'm doing this to please somebody else and not really just myself. I want you to take some time. I usually don't ask anyone to do this, but I'm gonna do this in this video. I'm gonna ask you to pause this video and choose one goal that you are working towards next year. One thing that you want to have, possess. Maybe it's something that you want to experience, so it's not a physical item. Maybe it's a certain feeling. I want you to write that down at the top of a page, 3 little arrows asking why. And then you can do 3 more little arrows under each of those bubbles asking why again. And do it as much as you can until you can't do it no more. Until you're like mentally fatigued and you're like, okay, that's it. I got my answer. This is becoming real clear to me. And it's an exercise I want you to be very patient with yourself on. I want you to really create the space. Don't just like hop off a call with your boyfriend and start doing it, or coming home from work and you're tired and do this exercise. I want you to be in a space where you can be present, you are relaxed, but you are still equally energized and open to the experience, because there might be a lot of emotions that might come up for you. It can be a triggering experience. So really take your time with it, even if it's just asking yourself 3 whys and that's it, and that's the end of the exercise. That's great, especially if it's your first time doing this. But take the opportunity to pause this video and come back. I just want to wrap some things up around this topic and ensure that you don't just walk away feeling, oh, so much was revealed and now I don't know what to do with this. So you can pause the video. If you didn't pause the video, all right, let's continue going with this. You can always do this exercise at another time. So let's go deeper into our goals. We're always setting goals like, for example, I want to make $1 million. But I think a lot of us say that we want to make $1 million, or we want to have, X amount of money in our bank account, because that is what is sort of the dream. That is what we're told is the ultimate dream. That $1 million retirement, the $1 million business, $1 million bank account. And so we feel like that is just the ultimate goal. Like that is what I should be striving for. And if I reach that, I am going to be admired. I'm going to be respected. I feel like I'm going to be in this position of power because many people haven't reached that milestone. So for me to reach that milestone says a lot about me and demands a lot of respect out of other people. Who wouldn't want that, right? But the surface answer that most people will tell you is that I want to have $1 million because I want to be rich. I want to be well off. I want to not be limited in what I'm able to do with my money, which makes sense, right? Some people may answer and say, because I want financial freedom. That in essence is kind of what I just said, but in a simpler way, you could just say financial freedom to do whatever I want. The deeper answer though could be, I want financial freedom because, and this isn't like, you're not gonna get this from asking why once, right? You're gonna have to ask why repetitively to get to a deeper answer, which actually might be, I want to have $1 million because I want to be respected by my peers. I've never really felt respected by my peers, and this is the way that will happen. Or for men, it could be, I want to have lots of money because I don't think I'm attractive enough, and women love a man with lots of money. So if I can't get her because of my looks, I can get her because of what I have in my pockets. Or another one could be, I'm afraid of being seen as a failure. And if I had $1 million, people would respect me more. I'd be seen as someone who is successful. Even if it's doing a job that I don't really enjoy or I'm passionate about, but just because I have $1 million, that would make me feel good enough. Just knowing that I've done something that most people haven't done, or accomplished something most people haven't accomplished. Or I'm chasing a version of success that isn't even mine, right? Now you might be like, I'm not gonna think that like right off the bat, but that's what I'm saying. Like once you do this exercise and you continue to ask yourself why, some of these insecurities, some of these false narratives start to show up, right? And you start to realize like, whoa, I'm actually not chasing this from a genuine place. Maybe I'm not chasing this out of my own will, but maybe someone else's will. And I need to reframe. It doesn't mean that you can't still have that goal, but I think it's important to maybe reframe why you want to work on the goal. Instead of just saying, I'm afraid I'm going to be seen as a failure, maybe it could be shifted to, I want to show myself that I can accomplish anything I put my mind to. That's coming from a completely different source of understanding and source of intention. And so, our daily decisions are like, it's like compound interest. I was actually talking to someone about this the other day, or they were sharing that perspective with me, right? Like the small little habits, the small daily decisions you make every day adds up over time, right? So are you going to choose the candy or the apple? I've said this in other videos. Which one are you going to choose? And if every day you keep choosing the cake and pizza and burgers and fries and chips, all the things that are unhealthy for you every single day, that is what you reach for before saying, you know what, maybe let me reach for a celery stick and peanut butter. Maybe let me reach for some carrots and hummus, or a light cracker and hummus or a smoothie. That is the difference between someone who is healthy and empowered in their health making choices versus someone who is stuck in a poor diet, someone who isn't happy with their body, maybe they're overweight, maybe they're at risk of health complications and complain about the health complications, but aren't doing anything to change the necessary outcome. So if you're always reacting to your environment, if you're someone who is just making choices because it's just available to you, but not taking the time to decide whether it's something that you should actually engage in, then you are being very passive in your life, right? You are kind of allowing life to kind of just throw at you whatever it is and acting as if you do not have any internal willpower or control. But if you're intentional, it shifts everything, because then you realize that every choice is a step towards what you actually want. One thing I like to say, instead of maybe asking why, if you are in like an in-moment decision, not something where it's like further down the road, if it's like, I don't know what to do like right now in this moment, ask yourself, is this decision, is this conversation, is this person, is this food, item, whatever, experience, is it going to add value to my life or is it going to subtract? I just got out of a relationship like less than 6 days ago. And even the people that I am interacting with and dating and putting myself in front of, I'm asking myself that question. Is this person adding value into my life or are they subtracting? And so far, the dates that I've been on and the experiences that I have had, they are adding at this point in time. They are. And at the point that they are not, then I have to reconsider this person's presence in my life, right? That is how discerning I have become. And that is what led me to the success that I see in my life today. And not even just the outwardly success, but the inner success, the peace that I have with myself and my life and where it's going. I am glowing inside and out. Even if I just left a relationship 5 days ago, I feel so good. I feel more liberated. I feel more excited about the future than how I felt while I was in the relationship. That's how I knew that I had to leave, right? But I had to ask some of these critical questions and reflect. Why? Why am I in a relationship that isn't serving me anymore? Why am I settling again? You know, like it doesn't mean that the work is ever over. This is constant everyday work. I never can stop asking myself why. I never can stop being discerning. This isn't like you do it once and then you never have to do it again. This is active everyday work. This is taking everyday vitamin to be 1% better. Some days I miss taking my vitamins, but I make sure to get back on track and keep on taking those vitamins to make sure that I am the healthiest possible so I can show up and be the best and have that be reflected in my life in terms of the outcomes and the experiences that I have moving forward. So, as we go into a new year, I really wanted to make this video once again to place emphasis on it's not just sometimes reaching the end of that goal and saying that you've accomplished it just to say you've accomplishment or to seek validation from others, but to focus on how you are going to choose to get there and why you are choosing to get there. What is the benefit of being intentional versus what you lose by not being intentional? And even just looking at your past and in your life, right? This past year, what were some of the negative experiences you had? And ask yourself if you were intentional going into those experiences. I bet you, majority of the time, you weren't as intentional as you thought you could have been. So with that being said, if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Ask why more. Before you buy, before you chase a goal, before you commit to someone, ask yourself why. Dig deep. Dig as deep as a hole as you can. Get to the center of the earth as much as you can. And not the physical center of the earth, but the inner center of the earth. That is you. And comment down below. I want you to do the exercise in this video. If you didn't do it yet, go back to it. Ask yourself 3 to 5 why questions from one of your goals or desires and share with me in the comments below. I really want to hear how the exercise went for you. What was unraveled? What was revealed to you in terms of your why? Are you comfortable with your answer? Why or why not? How has this shifted the way that you are going to approach or engage in this goal or this desire that you have or this belief that you have? And if you found this video helpful, of course, like and subscribe. And I, of course, will see you in another video. Bye.